Hi everyone, I'm Bia, and this is Twilight Tonight Fanfiction Edition. Bow chicka wow 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 wow. Wow wow. Thank you for tuning in to Twilight Tonight this evening or morning or whenever you're listening to this. This is chapter 4 of a multi-chapter fan fiction that we're reading called Falling Beyond Redemption by Aaliyah B4U on fanfiction.net. If you haven't listened to the first 3 chapters, I recommend it. It's all probably linked in a playlist somewhere down below. But there is an author's note at the top that says that Charlie is a bit out of character in this chapter. And now that the story is fully underway, there is going to be multiple point of views in each chapter. I'll do my best to do voices. Perhaps I'll start wearing a mustache for Charlie's point of view. And the last line of the author's note is, this is just one of those stories where you should try and get used to them if possible. So let's do that. Okay, so here we go. The next chapter is chapter 4, Instinctual. I've got a mustache on because it's Charlie's point of view. But I only had green sticky notes, so we'll see how long this lasts because it's already not sticking to my face well. Okay, so chapter 4, Instinctual, Charlie's point of view. The steaks are searing nicely on the grill. I've set the table and even opened one of the bottles of wine that Sue had sent over with Jacob. The non-alcoholic one, of course. Again, the irony of having my daughter, who's considered old enough to be married, but not old enough to drink alcohol, isn't lost on me. I can hear Bella and Jacob talking through the open kitchen window and smile with satisfaction. Bella sounds a little hesitant, but there's genuine warmth in her voice, and Jacob is teasing her light-heartedly. I like the sound of them together, and it strengthens my nerve. I glance at my watch, noticing there's only less than half an hour until the second part of my plan comes to play. I set it up with Karen, one of our secretaries down at the station, to have her call me with a fake emergency at 5:30. I plan on sticking around just long enough to make sure everything's okay. Then I'm out of here. These two need some time alone to talk without dear old Dad hanging off every word. And the only way to guarantee that is to make myself scarce. Jacob and Bella join me on the deck, and once again, the sheer size and height of this kid astounds me. He's well over 6 feet and rippled with long, lanky muscle. Lanky? Jacob is a beefy boy. Lately, an awful lot of the res kids are looking like I might need to be checking for a ring of drug pushers peddling steroids. If most of them weren't such damn good kids, I might actually give that paranoid thought some attention. But, like Jake, they all kept their noses clean, and I've never had a problem with them. Sam seems to keep them in line, and I can't help but be grateful. With their size and numbers, Forks could have a serious problem on its hands if they were inclined to cause trouble. Maybe it's my confidence in the fact that Jacob is a really good kid. Or maybe it's just his size that makes him seem older. Either reason has me reaching into the cooler and offering him a beer. He arches a brow in amusement and grins. That depends. Are you asking me with a badge on or off? Laughing, I toss him the can and he catches it easily. Off for today. And only for one. Got it? Cracking open the can, he takes a long swallow that tells me this isn't his first, and salutes me. Oh, absolutely. We wouldn't want your reputation as hard-ass to be tarnished, would we? Laughing, he holds the can out to Bella. Want half, Bella? Save me from getting all hammered? She rolls his eyes and grins as she shakes her head. Nah. Nah, I'll pass. Thanks. I'm pretty sure you need an entire keg to get drunk anyway, Jacob. He laughs and shrugs. Yeah, something like that. I settle into the chair, not surprised at the pleasure I feel seeing them together again like this. I watch as Jacob gently nudges one of Bella's feet with his own when she puts them up on one of the small plastic side tables. She exhales heavily, then closes her eyes as I watch some of the tension leave her body. Sun was out today, Bella. You should have tried to catch a few rays. You get any paler and people are gonna start mistaking you for a vampire. Jacob states loudly, grinning. His head snaps up, fast, and her eyes narrow, her mouth drawing in tight. For a second, the energy between them seems almost dangerous. But then Bella glances at me and settles back in the chair. I did catch some on Sunday, Jacob, but we can't spend all our time running around outside all day like a wild wolf. Jacob roars with laughter, and a small smile twitches over her mouth. The strain vanishes, and he turns back to me. So, Charlie, done any fishing lately? The conversation switches to fishing, and Bella divides her time between listening and heading back to the kitchen to take care of the rest of the meal. Having forgotten how easy and natural it is to talk to Jake, I relax and truly just enjoy myself. I'm almost regretting the interruption that's coming. Or I was, until Bella shows back up in the doorway holding her phone. Have you seen my charge cord, Dad? I could have sworn I left it in the kitchen catch-all drawer. I haven't seen it, actually, and I curse myself mentally. I haven't seen it. Sorry, Bells. I'm glad I don't have to lie, but my lack of foresight is not good. If she finds it and Edward calls, which of course he will, then my plan won't go as well as I'm hoping. Since there's nothing I can do to shrug off my irritation at my lack of forethought, I've started the ball rolling and set the stage here. The rest is up to Jake. Damn, she mutters softly. My phone is dead and I still haven't heard from... She pauses, and a slight flush of pink stains her cheek as she looks up at Jake. Never mind, she says quietly. I'm sure it will show up later. She disappears back in the house, and Jacob's face and expression grow noticeably darker. For a second, I'm surprised at the anger I think I see there, but then he takes another long pull of his beer and stands, his expression going neutral. He stuffs his hands in his pockets and goes to stand at the rail, and now looks almost weary, like he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulder. Let me guess, he says with scorn. She's waiting for a call from Edward. He says his name in a tone ripe with hostility, his muscles bunching and hardening beneath his shirt. Moving to stand beside him, I'm surprised at the heat radiating from his body. It's warm and muggy tonight, but not hot. And despite how hot he is, he's not sweating at all. Must be all that youthful testosterone. I struggle with what to say, and finally settle for the truth. I'm sorry. He snorts and shrugs as though trying to roll off the tension. Yeah, you and me both, Charlie. You and me both. You know, I wish I could feel him flinch. Yeah, great. Make the kid feel even worse, I think, as I see his expression harden further as though in defense against whatever I was going to say. As if it wasn't painful enough without my comments. He already knows anyway. Saying it out loud would probably just rub salt in his wounds. Still, I can't just say nothing. She might be wearing his ring, but she's not officially his wife yet, Jake. He turns towards me, his face blank again. He slowly begins to smile, dawning understanding lighting up his eyes. Ah, I see. So this little dinner, was it more than just a friendly invitation, Charlie? He's smiling, but his expression still seems hard. Grim. It wasn't meant to be anything, kid. I just don't like seeing you and Bella have all this distance between you. Friendship is a hard thing to come by. I don't think you two should throw it away so easily. With eyes cold and unreadable, he shakes his head. I've got friends, Charlie. You know Bella is more to me than that. There's no point in pretending. I don't want to be her friend. I want more. A hell of a lot more. He spits out each word, not bothering to hide the rawness behind them. And I feel uncomfortable with how direct his stare is. For a second, I'm tempted to remind him he's just a kid, that his feelings will change 100 times before he should be this certain. But I don't. I get the feeling I'm not dealing with a kid. Not with him, not with Bella, and sure as hell not with Edward. Again, I have the uncanny feeling that I don't have the slightest clue what's really going on here, and it makes me uneasy. Then suddenly he laughs, and he looks just like any other kid his age, all hopped up on the highs of a crush and swearing to anyone who'll listen that it's the real deal. The same love, everlasting, never going to be anyone else. Youthful certainty that I've seen dozens of times in the eyes of every teenager I've yanked from the back seat of a steamy windowed car. If she finds out what you're up to here, Charlie, you know there's going to be hell to pay, don't you? Grinning myself now, I turned to the steaks, flipping them one last time. Jacob's intensity had me a bit unsettled for a minute, but I push it away as he holds out a plate and I see his face and eyes have cleared. He looks amused, back to being the Jake I've known since he was born 17 years ago. I guess that depends on how things work out now, doesn't it, Jake? He laughs again, but there's still a touch of sadness in his eyes. Don't hold your breath, Charlie. You're forgetting I've already played this game and lost. Maybe you need to go one more inning. For a long moment, he says nothing, his eyes distant. Then he grins widely and breaks into a deep laugh. One more? He glances toward the house, where we can both hear Bella humming softly in the kitchen, banging around in her usual way. Yeah, I might have one more in me. He turns his back and looks at me thoughtfully. Don't hold your breath, though, Charlie. This game may have been called a long time ago, and you and I, we're just too dumb to see we've lost. Spinning on his heel, he snags his beer and heads into the house with his plate. Hey, Bella, come on, let's eat. I'm starving. It takes me a minute to get my bearings back, to shake off the cold feeling that skirts up and down my spine. If I wasn't so afraid of losing Bella forever, I might take some time and pay closer attention to that feeling. My cop instincts tell me to pay closer attention, but my father instincts just aren't listening. Because maybe Jacob was right. Maybe the game was already lost, and this was just last-ditch desperation at its most dangerous. But maybe, just maybe, he wasn't. If there was a chance, no matter how small, I was determined to take it. I didn't want my daughter heading down the same path her mother and I had, and I was willing to do this one last thing to try and prevent it. So I shrug off all those pesky warning signs, slam a steak on my plate, and go in to wait for Karen's call. Okay, so that is the end of Charlie's point of view for chapter 4. Now we're going to get into Edward's point of view. We arrive at a small clearing where we'd left the Jeep in only a matter of minutes, and I take a quick second to change clothes. I was feeling more confident about Bella's safety. If there was anything wrong, Alice would have certainly called. She is just as tuned in mentally to Bella as she is emotionally. That, however, did not mean I wasn't going to forego a trip home just to check in on her, providing she didn't call somewhere in between now and our arrival back in Forks, that is. Since Emmett had declared he's driving and already has himself enscored firmly in the driver's seat, we should make it home in record time. Emmett has even less patience for slow driving than I do. Once upon a time, I would have thought that we would have matched up evenly on that score. But that was in my pre-Bella days. Driving in a vehicle with her was akin to driving with the world's most precious, rare, and fragile work of art. Speed was not an appealing option in such an endeavor, and so I'd long since learned to appreciate a slower, safer pace. I glance at my watch and calculate that we should be able to make it to Bella's by 7:08 p.m., give or take a few seconds. I put my headphones on and turn on my iPod in order to drown out Emmett's latest obsession with the overly twangy country musician Toby Keith. Settling my feet against the dashboard, Just to add to the obvious do not disturb sign that I'm portraying with my body posture, I lean my head back against the seat and close my eyes. I've enjoyed the company of my brothers and father immensely these last few days, but that isn't to say that I'm not a bit worn out by them. Between Emmett's all-out ribbing and teasing about my coming wedding night, and Carlisle and Jasper's quiet and understated concern, I'm ready for some silence, or at least what little of it I'll be allowed. Stuck in a vehicle with three men who've missed their mates immensely, I'm already being barraged by a whole mess of inappropriate visuals and thoughts that I could live without. In an effort to save my sanity and to be as respectful of thoughts private and not meant for me as possible, I focus on my own excitement. Despite what Emmett or Jasper, or even Carlisle for that matter, might believe, Bella and I have been growing closer over the last few months, and our level of intimacy just might surprise them. For some reason, they're all convinced that I've adopted a strict no touching before marriage policy, but that couldn't have been farther from the truth. Instead, Bella and I were allowing things to progress naturally, if a little slowly. Though we'd agreed to wait for our wedding night to make love, it hasn't stopped us from exploring our boundaries. That did not, of course, mean that I wasn't still very worried about our wedding night. I had promised Bella we'd try, and that was all I was still promising. No one was more aware than I how impossible the task seemed, especially when I still needed to fight the insane desire to drain her body dry of the blood needed to sustain her life on a daily basis. Not to mention the fact that one wrong move, one forgotten moment of not perfectly balancing and controlling my strength, and I could seriously harm her in ways so terrifying I can barely think of them. Resisting my urge to succumb to any of these fears is an ongoing battle, but I'm getting better at it. Case in point, my mind is already moving on and focusing on much more positive and engaging thoughts and memories. Like the one from the night before I'd left. I smile internally at that memory and let it unfold behind my eyes, effectively banishing a particularly unpleasant one coming from Emmett's direction. There are just some things a brother should never know about his sister, and her favorite sexual position would definitely rank at the top of the list. I open one eye to glare balefully at Emmett, who's grinning back. He's definitely shoving the thought in my direction. What? Haha. His laughter and voice are loud enough to hear even over Debussy's melodic Clair de Lune. I was just thinking that it could be a first-time position, don't you think? Or maybe I should be asking Bella? I close my eyes to shut him out, increasing the volume on my iPod until his laughter dissipates in the strains of the violin. I let the music carry me back to my memory, and in my mind, Bella lays beside me on her bed, dressed in a skimpy tank top and shorts. The muggy summer heat has had her coming to bed dressed in an ever-decreasing amount of fabric and exposing a very appealing, if slightly alarming, amount of skin. Creamy, flawless skin with the finest and tiniest of blue-tinged veins spiraling just beneath the surface. Dear Lord, she is so beautiful. Even here in this speeding Jeep filled with family members, the ache in my body is undeniable. Her body has become infinitely more appealing as of late, outshining even the impossible allure of her blood. The soft sighs and low, throaty moans that escape her lips while I'm loving her in those moments are the sweetest sounds in existence. I've always known in theory that physical love is a powerful thing, a connection that strengthens emotional love in a way that nothing else can. Knowing something in theory and learning to experience it firsthand has been a humbling experience. Over a century of life has not prepared me for the overwhelming need and tenderness that consume me in those dark, hushed moments. Bella's hands gliding warmly over my skin, the taste of her flesh, her mouth. I bite back a groan that could be difficult to explain in the present company and reach for the distraction of my phone. It begins to vibrate the second my fingers touch the surface, and I smile in anticipation and relief. My smile is short-lived. Not Bella. Alice. Edward. Her voice is tight, concerned, and all my instincts go into overdrive. Something is wrong. Alice, what's wrong? Emmett instantly turns off the radio, and I can hear and feel Carlisle and Jasper lean towards me. I can't see Bella, Edward. I lost her about an hour ago. It's all just blank. Nothing? Go farther ahead, Alice. Look until you find her. I've tried. All I get are images that... Alice, damn it, what images? Tell me what you see. We're still a few miles from home, and I'm not close enough to Alice for her to show me what she sees. The frustration is impossible, and I growl low and hard. Jasper's hand settles on my shoulder from behind, and he squeezes in reprimand. Yelling at Alice won't help her see any better. If anything, upsetting her can cause the visions to shut off. I nod my head in acknowledgement. They're too confusing, Edward. I'm sorry. I just can't make them out. They don't make any sense, and they keep changing. Do you know where she is, Alice? I ask, trying desperately to stay calm. I can see the speedometer surging forward as Emmett presses his foot down hard against the gas. The scenery whips by, and he weaves easily through the traffic. There's only one possible reason I can't see her, Edward. Her voice is hard, and I can hear the fear. Whatever she's seen, whatever Bella's current future entails, it has her concerned. Jacob. I spit his name out. Damn him. Why can't she stay away from him? I look at Emmett as he checks his speed and answers my unspoken question. 10 minutes. Maybe less if this traffic holds out. Alice, I can't go on the reservation. You know that. If Bella's just visiting Jacob, I can't break the treaty and destroy everything for no good reason. I'm growing desperate. I need more, Alice. Please. The closest vision I can see is Bella. I can see her at her house. I can see Charlie's cruiser, flashing lights, and an ambulance, I think. But Bella, Alice's voice falters, and I recognize her trance-like tone as her words fade. Bella's house, Emmett. Get us there now. He nods, and the speedometer inches higher. Jasper holds out his hand. Edward, give me the phone. Let me talk Alice through this. I shake my head with another low growl. I don't want to give up the only connection I have to Bella. Edward, give Jasper the phone. Carlisle says softly, but firmly. He knows how to help Alice focus. You're only going to upset her, and you can't risk her losing the connection to Bella. I know he's right, and I force myself to hand over the phone to Jasper. A feeling of dread and instinctive anger heightens my senses, and I can hear Alice's words over the phone even though Jasper has pressed it tightly to his ear. Jasper, stay with Edward. Don't get separated from him. Don't... Oh, Jazz. Her voice breaks, and the raw pain and fear she'd been hiding from me comes through despite how quietly she's speaking, attempting to convey her message to him alone. Bella's in trouble. Something is very, very wrong. Traffic is getting heavier. Ooh, okay. Oh my gosh, things are really picking up. I mean, we got a couple of slightly steamy things being said, and now they're stuck in traffic, so that's a crazy one. No, but I'm excited to see what happens when Edward finally gets to Bella's house. Hopefully that happens next chapter. This was chapter 4, Instinctual, of Falling Beyond Redemption. The next chapter is chapter 5, Unraveling. I'm very excited to see where this story goes. Obviously, we have, or maybe not obviously if you are not yet aware, but this story is 56 chapters long. So we're in it for the long haul. I'm very excited to do this with you all. So stay tuned for our podcast episodes, ASMR videos, more fan fiction, and the link for all of that and this story is all down below. If you haven't watched the first 3 chapters, then all of that is also in a playlist below. And I will talk to you so soon. Oh, just as a reminder, I'm Bia, and this has been Twilight Tonight Fanfiction Edition. Bow chicka wow 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 wow. Bye.